friends, Kim from Stamping Imperfection. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, I would love to have you click subscribe and click the bell to get notifications every time I upload a video. And friends, please remember to give this video a thumbs up because it will really help me out and I really appreciate it. I wanted to share with you today how I'm coloring these so cute, resourceful, rusty, I think these are squirrels. Is it rusty raccoon? Maybe. I'm not sure. It's adorable, whatever it is. And I'm coloring these today with my Stampin' Blends. So I thought I would share how I'm doing it. And I'm going to start out just by making a card. I've already done a few just for fun, and I just think these are so adorable. Like, I created this little scene strip, which I'm going to put on my card, on the front of my card. And so I want to make a card so that when I go to use it next time, I will actually have that. I keep a stack of Stampin' Blends cards where I do some practice coloring, because I have another one here as well. And I try out these things and then I add them to my stack so that I can actually remember what I did the next time I go to use this stamp set. Alright, so I'm stamping it in my Memento ink, and I've actually put my Memento ink in a craft Stampin' pad. This is actually my Memento. I actually just inked this one up. It's a brand new pad. I have a video on that if you'd like to see it. So here I am. For the raccoon, I'm going to use the dark copper clay, the light pecan pie, the dark light tone one. So this is the light tone, but it's the dark one of the light tones. And then I have the light crumb cake. So I'm going to take the dark copper clay, and I always use the brush tip. That's how I was taught. So I'm just going to go around this edge here of the apple and all over here, and I'm just going to just like provide a little base of and do some flicks up the tail about that far. I'm just going to put a little of that dark. This is the dark copper clay, so I'm going to put a little of that dark in his arm, in his two legs, in this arm. And I liked it just like a little V here on the top. And I'm going to fill in those ears with that dark copper clay. Super cute little guy. So now I'm taking the light pecan pie, and I'm going to fill in the rest of his legs and arms, and just kind of lightly touch it to the that dark copper clay there. And, you know, kind of get them thinking about blending together there. And I'm just going to flick this up a little bit like that. And I almost forgot his arms here. So mostly I'm filling him in. Now I'm going to take that light tone one. This is the dark light tone. And I'm just going to add a little bit at the end of the tail. Just like that. And then I'm going to take, and I think I'm actually going to dab a little bit of the dark copper clay just above that apple. Then I'm going to take the, this is the light crumb cake, and I'm just going to do some flicks along the side of the stomachs, and I'm trying to like give him a little bit of a curve, and I'll do it along the sides of his cheeks. And then I'm just going to do a little bit like above the top of the eyes like that, just to give the that white part some color, because then it doesn't look so stark, and it helps it look a little bit more almost three-dimensional if you get the flicks curved correctly. Now for the apple, I have dark cherry cobbler, and I'm just going to put one swipe of the dark cherry cobbler down one side of each of these apples. Then I pulled out, this is Light Poppy Parade, and I'm going to go over the very edge of that cherry cobbler and just pull it into the rest of the apple there a little bit. And then I pulled out Dark Shaded Spruce. I'm just going to fill in the apple. And then I'm going to pull that the light crumb cake again, and I want to ground this image. He looks like he's falling through air right now, so I'm going to use the light. I just kind of wiggle my brush tip around a little bit like that, so it kind of looks like there's ground underneath him. And if there's 2 feet touching the ground, I do the underneath 2 feet. You could stipple that if you wanted to. In fact, if you wanted to make the ground more pronounced, like sometimes I stipple around what I did with that, and sometimes I do it in more than one color of a brown or a gray, so that it looks like ground underneath him. But that just kind of grounds your image. Now I'm going to take my marker here, and I'm going to, is this a squirrel or a raccoon? Is it Rusty Raccoon? I'm going to call him a squirrel because that's what it looks like to me. So I used dark copper clay. I used light pecan pie. I used light crumb cake. Then for the apple, it was dark cherry cobbler, light poppy parade, and dark shaded spruce. And then for the ground, I used light crumb cake. And then I usually just take my marker and I just do a little scribble of the color next to it. I don't know why I do this. I've got the names here. I don't really need the little scribble. Just a habit. Oops, that's the wrong color. Oh, I want to add that too. The squirrel, I also use the dark light tones, and that was that one right here. And the crumb cake I'll do right above there. Okay, cherry cobbler, poppy parade, spruce, and back to crumb cake. Just like that. So I have a card, I can reference what I did. I like what I've done, and I definitely want to, want to do more of that. So I'm going to complete my card. I've gone ahead and created all the parts of my card here. I have a card base. This is 5.5 by 8.5. I've scored and folded it at 4 1/4. I went ahead and used my 3D exposed brick embossing folder here on a piece of crumb cake. This is cut 4.5 by 4 1/4 by 5.5. So I've got that all ready to go. I ran that through my cut and emboss machine, and I'm just going to make sure it is the right size for the top of this. I love it. All right, I have a sentiment from the stamp set. You can do it. I die cut this out with a die from my beautiful butterfly set. They have 2 different sizes of this little sentiment die. I used the smaller of the 2, and it's perfect for little tiny skinny sentiments like this one. Then I have a piece of cherry cobbler. This is cut at 2 by 5 and 5.5. this piece is cut, this piece of white is basic white is cut at 1 3/4 by 5.5. So I'm going to put that on just like that. So I'm going to go ahead and add some adhesive to the back of my embossed piece. And oops, my glue is getting low here. It takes about a month for me to use one of these glue containers. So now that March is here, it's time to go ahead and open a new container of glue, I guess. Okay, so I've got that on there. Now I am going to add the panel that I colored to that cherry cobbler panel. Just like this. And I'm going to add that to here. And I think I'm going to pop this up. Let's see, do I want to pop that up? I think I would like to add some dimension to the back of this. So I'm going to pull out my sheet here, and I'm going to add a whole bunch of dimensionals to the back of this. So I've got all my dimensionals added. I pulled the backing off. I'm going to add this up toward the top of my panel here. I really like this look. I like this design. And I think I have it a little crooked here. Let me just check. Yes, it's a little crooked. So before I push it all down, I definitely want to make sure I have this straight. That looks a little better. Okay, that looks perfect. All right, now I do want to add some twine and stuff. I'm also going to pop the sentiment up on some dimensionals, but I want to add some twine at least. Actually, this is linen thread, so I definitely want to add some linen thread to this. So let me just take this. I'm going to put I'm going to put 2 glue dots on the back. There we go. And then I'm going to just sort of twine wind this. So somebody called this a faux bow. I never call it a faux bow, but I just kind of loop it back and forth. And I guess from the other side, it looks kind of like a bow. And I'm just going to do it a couple of times because I like the linen thread. And I think the fact that I'm using the crumb cake makes it even better to use the linen thread, just like that. I can stick this anywhere I want it. I think I'm going to put it over to the side, a little bit there, and I'm going to just trim off the tails a tiny bit. There. And that's going to complete my card. Now I can actually do a fun thing on the inside and on the envelope because there's a little apple stamp here. And if I pull out some cherry cobbler ink, I think I have one more block I can use for this. I can actually stamp the little apples there, and I can do the same thing to my envelope. So I just have a little bit of a decoration on my envelope, and whoever gets this will be wondering what on earth are the apples doing on the card. So there you go. How cute is that? So that is the Resourceful Rusty stamp set with a little bit of coloring with the Stampin' Blend markers. And, you know, experiment with the markers that you have and see what colors you have that you like to mix together. Like, I don't always use the light and the dark of the same marker just because I feel like I get a more fun blend or something more like I'm picturing in my brain. And I like the way this came out. So I love this card. I think it's going to be super fun. And I think I need to fix this so it's straight. There we go. Oops, I forgot to add some of these guys. And I'm thinking that it will be fun to add a few of these pecan pie guys. Okay, so I can add some of these. I'm going to pick the pecan pie ones, and I'm going to put a large one down here, put one there. So I think I'm just going to leave that at 2. I like 2, and I kind of draw your eye to the sentiment. So again, that's Resourceful Rusty. Now if you want to make a purchase, you can purchase Stampin' Up! Supplies in my online store at shopwithkim.net. I would love to be your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And these were just released on March 4th, so these are online exclusives. So make sure you check them out. Check out the colors of Stampin' Blends to see what you have and what you'd like to add to your collection. So thank you so much for watching, friends. I hope you found this helpful, and I hope you have a wonderful day.